Here on the shores of Lake Lugu, which means dive into the waters in Chinese, lives one of the few remaining matriarchal societies on Earth. Almost 1,000 years ago, the Mosuo people settled here at the foot of the Himalayas. No one knows where they came from or why they came. Day dawns over the lake with prayers offered by Mosuo women. They dominate the culture as they have done for centuries. In most cultures, men and women make families together, and the men go out and make a living. We're different. We're a matriarchal society. We, the women, are in charge. A matriarch lives in each Mosuo house. She's an elderly woman who decides the destiny of all the family members. Yashima is one such matriarch. At 65 years old, she's 5 children, 2 grandchildren, and smokes 80 cigarettes a day. I think men are not as good at being in charge as women are. They can't do it. While women are in charge of everything, men only think about having fun. At home, Yashima has absolute power. She manages the money of every member of her family, even the adults. She manages what jobs each one of them does, even their love lives. Less than a year ago, the matriarch forbade one of the children to have a particular girlfriend. They need my permission. What they can do, Mama allows them to do. What they can't, Mama forbids. Yes, once I forbade my son to have a girlfriend. If there's something about the girls I don't like, I won't allow the boys to see them. The boy wasn't very happy about the decision, but he obeyed. The Mosuo marriage is a very special institution. It's not even called a marriage. It's more like courtship, because the couple never live under the same roof. The women stay at their mother's house, the men do the same. According to tradition, they only meet at her house at the end of the day. For years, Yudashi has been repeating this ritual once or twice a week. He puts on his best suit and crosses the lake to go to the nearest village where his wife lives. It's called a visiting marriage.
Once we lived in the mountains. Later, we moved to the shores of the lake, and now we're fishermen. Amongst the Mosuo people, it's the women who are the bosses. We, the men, go out fishing or courting.
It looks like an easy life for a man, but it can be hard work. To reach his wife's home, Yudashi has to row for over an hour.
Steering the boat is up to the pilot, growing the plants is up to the sun, the rains and good techniques. But what guides us in revolution is thoughts of Mao.
And it's with that thought that the lake crossing comes to an end. In a Mosuo home, the rules of etiquette are strict. First, Yudashi has to greet his mother-in-law, matriarch of the family. His gifts of tobacco, tea and a bottle of spirits are well received. He's invited to sit in the guest's corner and to taste some hors d'oeuvre before dinner. Yudashi hardly looks at his wife. The Mosuo people, like most Chinese, are shy about showing their feelings. Latso, the youngest daughter of Yashima, is so shy she can hardly mention her husband, despite the fact that the relationship has received the blessing of her family and of the fact that they have a son. For the Mosuo people, there are 3 sacred taboos. It's forbidden to eat dog, it's forbidden to eat cat, and it's forbidden to talk about sex. Dietz's husband lives a few kilometres away. He's the manager of a wood company. His job makes him a very eligible man. After all, not a lot of Mosuo men have a permanent job, and especially a management position. Tsar Pito is well paid by Mosuo standards. But like any good Mosuo man, he hands over all his earnings to his mother. Whenever possible, he goes to visit his wife, but it's not always easy to find the time. At this carpentry workshop, they work long and sometimes erratic hours.
There are no days off. We start work at 8 in the morning, we have a break at 12, and start again at 2 o'clock. Sometimes, if the material doesn't arrive, we have to stay behind to wait for it. But sometimes, we don't have so much work to do.
Tsar Pito doesn't see his wife more than once a week. He confesses he's even considered breaking with tradition and living with her.
Yes, this is something to think about in the future, when our son is older. If she came over here, we'd spend more time together.
But Dietzy disagrees. She appreciates the Mosuo customs. We don't argue if we're not together. Tsar Pito hardly sees his baby son. He's just 4 months old, but when he grows up, he'll never call Tsar Daddy, because in the Mosuo language, there's no such word. Mothers make decisions about their children's future on their own. As far as education's concerned, they rely more on the support of their brothers than on their husbands.
She only knows how to laugh. She's shy. She has never spoken to foreigners.
But there are other reasons for all the shyness. Dietzy is not used to being in public with her husband. In 3 years of marriage, they haven't even been for a walk around the village.
No, we rarely go out together in public.
But it was in public that they met a few years ago. The Mosuo people like parties. Fire and dancing stir lonely hearts, and relationships blossom.